Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode. Wait, hold on. It's this many plus this many. It's episode 10. 10, and after that, I can't do this anymore. I can't.
But
I
then
don't have.
I'll just do like this.
Oh yeah, okay. That's good. That's good. Well,
Yeah,
how about this? Well, let's do a preview of next week. I'll hold up 5 fingers, and you hold up 6. And then that'll be 11.
Beautiful.
And then we can do that until we get to 20. And then we're going to have to start holding up feet, and they're going to have to pay extra for that.
Yeah, no, it's going to get weird.
Yeah.
I could charge a lot for that.
Yeah. We're off to a good start. Kate, you're Kate, and I'm Alex. And
that's true.
This is Get the Flick Out of Here, where we talk about weird, bad, stupid, dumb, crazy,
quirky
movies and TV shows. And this is our big 4th of July Independence Day spectacular. And I wavered back and forth on which of these I would want to do. And one thing I thought about doing Independence Day and its sequel that came 20 years later. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I do want to do this. This is the thing, is there's a lot of people who watch our stuff, Kate, Fightful and here, who are young people, Kate. It's young true. People. These are
the
young
kids
people.
Love us.
I don't know why, but they do. The kids love us. And the older people love us too. But this is a movie that I feel like a lot of younger people might not even know exists, because it was very much of a time and place. And I think at its time it was a sensation, and then it's just fallen by the wayside. People don't reference it as much anymore. It's not a thing people talk about. But the long and short of it is this. The guys who made South Park decided to do a movie that was kind of a satire of the current political climate in the mid-2000s. The whole post 9/11 world, being involved in 2 different wars in the Middle East, and the kind of jingoistic patriotic propaganda that surrounded the whole thing, as well as the anti-war movement, and how kind of up its own ass it got at the time as well. And they decided to do all of this, Kate, with puppets.
They did. So I'm a big Trey Parker and Matt Stone fan. I love South Park. So this was definitely post 9/11. This came out in 2004. And in 2004, I was probably not allowed to watch this, even though I was 17. But I did see it years ago, and I didn't know how it was going to hold up now, because things have changed so much. But one thing I have always appreciated about Matt Stone and Trey Parker is how much they love to lean into the absurdity that is underneath things that we just kind of accept as normal, and that they just go after everyone. Like, nobody is off limits. They're not politically leaning in one direction or the other. They just go after everybody. And I just also appreciated that this whole thing was done with marionettes. And I've watched tons of interviews about them with the show. Like, I didn't have to do that much research. I just rewatched the movie. But I've seen so many interviews where they talked about this. And one thing that they said is they would never work with marionettes ever, period, ever. Like, they were like, you think working with real actors is bad. Claymation, animation pales in comparison to getting marionettes to look realistic enough in their context and to do what you want them to do, because you move a centimeter in the wrong direction and the whole marionette looks ridiculous and falls off. But I really appreciated so much of this movie watching it back, where I was really nervous about watching it back.
I don't. It's impossible for me to press upon those of you who may not have seen the film. And the problem, and the thing that also I feel bad about is it's not easily streamable. You have to have
on Amazon Prime Video though.
It is, but you have to have a Showtime subscription to also watch it there. At least I did. And it's also available the same way through Hulu, but it's out there. You could probably find it in like your local Goodwill in the DVD section. Like it was very ubiquitous at the time, but it's impossible for me to accurately describe how ridiculous the marionettes are.
Yeah,
and how like they're ridiculous, and also they're top of the line marionettes.
Yes.
Like they blink and have facial expressions, and like they're top of the line, but they look so damn silly, which is why it works so well, because it is a subject matter that, especially at the time when this was made, took itself so seriously. And all you had to do, like you honestly could have just made a movie with actors playing all the parts and satirizing what they were satirizing, and it would have worked fine. You could have done an animation thing; it would have worked fine. The genius of it is using puppets,
marionettes too. I mean, not even like hand puppets.
No, but like
marionettes.
Like who's pulling the strings?
Yes,
it was a wonderful little subtle thread throughout the whole thing, and it's and then certain things of like, I remember watching interviews of this, like we wanted to be able to do stuff with the puppets that they just couldn't do, so we're like, F it, we'll just do it the craziest, dumbest way possible. And that actually becomes part of the commentary. So anyway, the other thing about this movie is, because it is Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who love offending everybody, they didn't pull any punches either way. And there's one particular thing about this movie. I found one particular thing about the movie that I think just could not have happened if they released it today. Like just the one that
I found two.
Yeah. I mean, I probably agree with the second one, but like the first one for me is like, I'm like, I just don't think we could do that. And this times change, like the way that like this is not okay. We can't do this. There's just certain things that happens the way it was. But I was honestly pleasantly surprised with how much of the movie holds up when you recognize what it is they are satirizing. The movie begins, and this is, again, they have such wonderful little subtle things. It begins where it says Paris, France, and then it gives you the number of miles it is away from America. To know that America is centralized in the story so much that whenever they tell you where the scene is taking place, they also make sure to tell you how many miles away it is from America. I thought that was great.
I love that, because I feel like there's such a common one thing Trey Parker and Matt Stone do very well here, South Park, tropes. They're fantastic at nailing, and that's such also like an action movie trope to be like, this many miles away from headquarters or whatever. Right. But this was just away from America, that they are in Paris, France, with the most comically French stereotypical. They're just saying like baguette and whatever, like just saying like
Francois, Francois, and this little boy is walking along eating a chocolate eclair or something, and the little French boy is singing Frère Jacques, Frère Jacques, because like the whole thing is that I mean, and later they straight up tell you they hate Michael Bay, but this is absolutely the opening scene of a Michael Bay film, where it establishes Everyone is very foreign. This is in a different place. But it's the laziest version of what foreign is.
Yes.
Nobody bothered to find out what a little boy in France would actually dress like or would actually be singing to himself. There's like, I've seen pictures of little boys in France from 1895. Put him in that outfit and also have him singing Frere Jacques, because that's the only thing I can think of that French kids would sing.
Everyone in berets.
Right.
Like,
right. Everyone's eating a baguette.
Yeah.
But the little boy was walking along, not paying attention, and bumps into a tall figure who turns around, and it's a turbaned man, big beard and very evil eyebrows. And there's another one there with him. He's got a big scar on his cheek, and the kid is, and then like whatever. And so they've got a WMD in a little suitcase or whatever, a little bomb. Then they start talking to each other, the terrorists, and most of what they say to each other the entire movie is Durka Durka.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be seen as racist. However, the point that they are making is that this is how these people are portrayed in American movies. Not that this is what we're not saying that's what they talk like. We're saying that's how stupid American movies are when they decide we're just going to have them we're not even going to get anybody to speak Arabic. We're just going to have them saying random stuff to each other.
It reminded me a lot of like how Chappelle would play with stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I believe this is where Team America first shows up. And there's one guy in a helicopter. And the logo for Team America on the helicopter, I don't know if you noticed this, Kate, is a giant bald eagle with the earth in its mouth. Like it's just swallowing the world. America swallowing the world is a really wonderful, very subtle metaphor.
It's also like red, white, and blue, which will come into play later when they're disguising themselves.
Yes, yeah. But the two guys rappelling out of the helicopter. All right, terrorists, drop the WMDs. And the terrorists, of course, open fire. It's like, why do they make this so hard? And they start firing back, and there's like the terrorists end up like catching bullets, and there's squibs and everything. It's made to look like a real action movie, but with terrorists. Well, no terrorists, with marionettes. It's ridiculous. And then there's one other guy who's like comes in on like an SUV. He's got a little beard and a terrible haircut. All right, drop it, you terrorist scum. And then there's the other guy. I guess we'll find out his name is Chris, and he's wearing, I don't know why he wears this, but it's a good little detail. He wears yellow sunglasses through the entire movie, indoors or out, no matter what scene he's in. He wears yellow sunglasses, not like yellow meaning the frames are yellow, but the lenses are yellow.
The lenses, they're like those half lenses that you buy at a gas station.
Yes.
That dads wear.
Yes. Both he and a terrorist are out of bullets. Said, all right, let's do this. And they drop and they come on. And they have a fight, but they're marionettes. So they just jump and just bash themselves into each other.
Clanking their limbs. Yeah.
So bad. Until the fight is over, where he just like goes, yeah. And then the other one falls over, and that's it. Anyway, they're able to fight off all the terrorists, kill all the terrorists. One of them runs into the Louvre, and as he's running away toward the Louvre, this other guy, is it Steve? The blonde one. He fires a rocket launcher at him, but misses, and hits the Eiffel Tower, which then falls over and lands on another very important building. And then he's like, damn, I missed. and with no concern at all in his voice.
No,
except for the fact that he missed, not for destroying the Eiffel Tower.
No, he missed the target. Yeah.
And then the terrorist runs into the Louvre, and Sarah, who apparently has clairvoyant powers, I sense that he's in the Louvre, and she fires a missile from her plane at the Louvre, which explodes in a giant ball of fire. Yeah, we got him. Mission accomplished. Because that's in the 2004 was what you say when you've gone into a country and destroyed it, trying to get one or two people out. That's what you say. Mission accomplished. And then in the aftermath, the guy whose name is Carson with the terrible beard and the bad haircut proposes to there's a blonde girl who shows up, lady marionette, whose name is Lisa, and she's got a shotgun, and she says, "Hey, terrorist, terrorize this," which I swear to God has been at least in 10 movies, that line, exactly.
Oh, and like on t-shirts and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like if you were walking around post 9/11, I loved the amount of dialogue that was, like, I think one of the guys goes, "We can never do this the easy way," or something. Like the amount of just so much like cheesy action movie dialogue that was here was just chef's kiss. Beautifully done.
Amazing. Anyway, so Carson says, "Lisa, I've been thinking on the way over here. I would like you to marry me." And in the most overdramatic way possible, Carson proposes to Lisa. And then it turns out one of the terrorists wasn't all the way dead. So he pops up and shoots Carson like 4 times in the back and kills him. And then the other guys all open fire on that terrorist, and they kill him really worse than the other guy was killed. And then Lisa's like, "No!" But she's a marionette. So it's really, really silly the way she's doing it. Carson's like, "I'm so cold. Lisa, after I'm gone, you have to move on. Find somebody else to love you."
It's so good. Trey Parker will always have you being so cold if you are dying or in distress. It happens on South Park all the time.
Yep.
It's so fun. I'm so cold for some reason.
I'm so cold. I loved it. And then that's like the first little thing of it, and then we I believe the next thing is
Lease the musical, yeah.
Yes, Lease, not Rent. Lease the musical, and we come right into the big finale number of Lease the musical on Broadway, which is just AIDS, AIDS, AIDS. Everyone has AIDS. AIDS, 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 AIDS. Everyone
Which was probably
has AIDS.
People too young to remember Rent, but
yeah, man,
which is like a little alarming. It makes me feel old, but
yes,
the specifics in that song crack me up. Of like the Pope has it, and so do you. Like my mom and my old dog Blue.
Yeah, but
amazing.
My mother and my sister. Yeah, everybody's got AIDS. AIDS, 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 AIDS. It's great. It's a great little song. But he's walking backstage, and I can't tell you how much I love that they named the main character Gary, because it's a name that no main character in a action movie has ever had.
It's true.
Gary.
And
the guy comes up like, "Hello, I'm here to see you. You're turned into a fine actor. You're Gary Johnson, double major at Iowa University in acting and world languages. My name is Spotswood. And I love the guy. I forget this guy's Darian Norris, I guess is the name. The guy who does the voice of because basically Matt Stone and Trey Parker do all the voices.
Yeah, Trey especially.
Especially Trey. But except for the female voices and Spotswood. Like he's the only one, and they got this guy who just has this perfect old-timey spine. Like
Perfect.
I'm heading up a spy detail, and I need you, Gary Johnston. You've got to come work for me. I'm Spotswood, and I love it. I think it's great. And says, I need to come. You need to come my limo. I want to show you something. Are you from Hollywood? Like come on in. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm supposed to get in your limo, and then what? I'm supposed to like blow you for a movie part? Like, no, I'm not going to fuck your mouth. You must get in my vehicle. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever. But they get in this this limo that transforms into a jet.
Yes. It's super tricked out, like every movie you've seen.
Yes.
Like,
and they fly to Mount Rushmore. And they fly into the mouth of George Washington, which opens up to reveal a runway. And this is where they tell Gary Johnston the plan to foil a huge terrorist attack, and they need him because he's the only one who can do it, because he's a great actor who also has majored in world languages.
Yes. We also get to meet the rest of the team here, which I quite liked.
Yes.
And so we meet. I love. Was it Sarah the clairvoyant?
Yes.
So, like, the fact that she is continually wrong throughout the movie is one of my favorite things, because clairvoyants are always quirky. Like, always.
Or not only is she wrong, she also
is not clairvoyant.
She also can sense things that are very obvious.
Yes, which is like, I sense that Alex is here on the stream with me, or whatever or things that have already happened or are in the middle of happening. Yes. But my favorite part about this whole thing is that when it pans to Lisa on a marionette, they do the male gaze shot, like from the bottom of her legs up her body, and it's a puppet. Like, it's just so funny to me. Mm-hmm. But as you were.
No, it's great. Also, Chris is there, and he's like, "You're just some dumb actor. Stay the hell away from me." And he's playing pool. The puppet is playing pool, but because it's a puppet, when he gets they're able to get the pool cue to hit the cue ball, and it just rolls slightly over to the right. It doesn't go anywhere near any other balls. It's great, because you totally, like, if it was an actual movie, you know the exact scene of the guy who's like breaks and the balls go. It's very dramatic. He's just sitting there. He's brooding, playing pool, and he won't look at anybody. But this is like click. It's just so good. And then we find out, of course, much later, why this is the very thing. There's always in these movies. Everyone's got a secret. Why do you feel this way about this thing? Inexplicably later, during a very tense moment in the movie, I will reveal this to you, but I can't right now. When it would be very easy for me to do it now, I'll do it much later.
But I have to have dramatic music playing, and it has to only be the two of us.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, so they mention how, okay, so we need you to do this thing. You're going to go to Cairo. That's in Egypt, right? That's right, Steve.
This kid's a natural kind of like that. It's so funny. What a genius.
And we're going to intercept blah blah blah. It does, none of this really matters. It's the point of it is like, if you don't like it, there's the door. Thanks. And he just leaves.
Just leaves. Just leaves. It's so
deuces.
Funny.
And then he's right? Am I thinking of this wrong? I'm right.
Well, Lisa comes out.
I'm trying to remember because this the soundtrack is not easily found. It's amazing. The soundtrack is amazing. It's not on Spotify. It's not on Amazon Music. I was trying to listen to the actual soundtrack. You can find covers of certain songs, but not the actual soundtrack. So I went on eBay and I bought the soundtrack on CD for like $4. I don't own a CD player, but I'm going to listen to this music somehow if it kills me.
It's so brilliant. Music is something that also on South Park gets used so well. Like Trey Parker is extremely passionate about the way that music gets played into all of his work. I've seen a million interviews about it, and it's just the satirical stuff is always pitch perfect. But we do get Freedom Isn't Free while he's contemplating whether or not he wants to do this. But before that, we have Lisa talking him back into it. Like, hey, consider it. And she hands him a business card that just has like Lisa, Team America on it.
That's right. Oh, the business card's great. But we need you. You have to do this. And so Baxter will take you in the Val Morphinizer, whatever that's what they call it. Is the version of this everything Val morphinizes, but it's the limo. And so it's like, hey, before you take me back, there's one more thing I got to do. And so they go to Washington D.C. and they actually take the real life monuments, and they put the actual doll in these monument places to look around and stuff. And there's one point where the doll, they prop up the puppet like putting his head like this up against a tombstone in Arlington Cemetery. And it's just all this stuff. And while this montage is happening of the doll realizing how important it is to help America kill all the terrorists, the song that is playing is a country ballad. Like, not only did they lampoon everything they also decide to like, here is the song where we completely parody this genre of music in films. And this one is the really hard-bitten country ballad, the way that it's like, freedom isn't free. It costs folks like you and me. Oh God!
There's a hefty fucking fee.
If you don't chip in, we'll never pay that bill.
If you don't toss in your $1.05, who will?
Yes,
and
who
then
will?
the last line is him just going, "Freedom costs $1.05." It's unbelievable.
Because I don't know. Like, there are so many of like it's impossible to convey the absolute like no other time that I have ever existed. Like the whole year, 2 years post 9/11, all of the just ridiculous stuff like freedom isn't free. It's just a thing that people would say. They don't actually think about it. They just like say it. And it's just a thing. It's a slogan. But the idea of like, well, if freedom isn't free, how much does it cost?
$1.05.
$1.05. Because we all gotta pay the bill. It's split evenly amongst all of us. It's $1.05 each. You got to throw in your $1.05. Otherwise, somebody's gonna have to pay more than their fair share, and we can't have that.
No. They also parody this on South Park again, when they're building the tower to heaven.
Where were you when they built that ladder to heaven?
It's an unbelievable parody done so perfectly, and like the fact that it's the background to this montage of a puppet going to visit the monuments in Washington. They do a great job with the puppet to make it look in awe of things. Yes.
And the puppet, they show the puppet's face like looking up, and then they pan up to the Lincoln Memorial, and they like it's just great.
It's so good. And yeah, this is him like basically reflecting on whether he's going to do it. The crux being that they need to infiltrate, and only an actor as good as him is capable of infiltrating the terrorists.
So then he flies.
And he's trained in world languages. So it has to be him. It can't be any other actor.
Right. So this this, I believe, intercut with this storyline here is where we first meet the main villain of the piece, now the late Kim Jong-il, dictator of North Korea. And of course, because it is South Park, they've basically just made him the Asian version of Saddam Hussein from South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
Yes.
But in puppet form. And also with Trey Parker doing an unconscionable Asian accent.
Yes.
This is the one that I was like, nope, sorry, can't do that anymore. Sorry. Like I know you have the Chinese food guy in South Park, and I'm sure he's still around, but like just no. You can't do the voice. We just can't have you doing the voice anymore, Trey. Like you hire an Asian actor to do the silly voice if you have to, but you, white guy, cannot do this voice for the entirety of the movie. I'm sorry.
No, this was one of the two. The others we'll talk about later with the Film Actors Guild, but
yes, that's true.
I think this was meant to be the same as the intent behind the like Durka Durka stuff, of that it's an absolutely cartoonish portrayal of Asian characters in American cinema, but it's such a long arc, not come off in the same way. Doesn't read that way, and it also just is a gap in society from 2004 till now. Like that is something that was way more commonplace. Not saying it should have been, but was constant during that time. And the rest of King Jong, there's a whole song that is revolved around that accent. But the rest of King Jong-il just being a guy who will just kill anybody who just inconveniences him throughout the movie is delightful.
There was a guy. Like you ever just go back and think of people that here's a guy. This is a guy we all know now, that before circumstances arose, there's no reason we ever would have known this person existed. Anthony Fauci is a guy we all know now. But we never would have known who he was had there not been COVID. Like everyone would have gone to their grave never knowing who the hell Anthony Fauci was. Now he's ubiquitous. Everybody knows who he is, at least in America. And another guy that was kind of like that at the time was a guy named Hans Blix. He was just a guy from the UN who was sent in to like do inspections of bad guys and whether or not they had weapons of mass destruction. And the deal was that he would ask them nicely if they did, and they would say no. So there was really nothing else that he could do about it. And there is a, I would argue, a middle ground between just asking the dictator nicely whether or not he has weapons of mass destruction, and if he says no, your hands are tied, and going in and starting a war. There's got to be somewhere in between. I'm not really sure what it would be, but there's got to be. I'm confident we can find a middle ground. Anyway, so that guy Hans Blix, United Nations weapons inspector, appears in this thing where he's showing up. It's like, hey, I'm here. I'm supposed to let you in. I'm supposed to go into these places. All these men are not letting me into these certain areas of your palace. Can I please get in there? And then basically, Kim Jong-il is the Asian dictator version of Cartman. Just like,
yeah,
that's basically what all he is. Like, oh, Hans Blix, you're breaking my balls. You're breaking my balls, Hans Blix. And so then he feeds Hans Blix to a shark. And they literally feed a marionette to a shark. I don't know if they like made the fake marionette out of bologna or something, but that shark ate the hell out of that marionette. And that was a funny little moment. And poor Hans Blix, gone too soon. But that was all also a show of strength to the Chechenian rebels who are procuring these weapons of mass destruction. And so these are the guys they're going to meet in Cairo. But
which
they don't
is in
know.
Egypt, as established earlier in the film.
But they don't know that Team America doesn't know that Kim Jong-il is behind any of this.
Right.
Very crucial. And then we get to see Gary show back up at Team America World Police headquarters. And he agrees to do it. He says, all right, now you got to go and you're going to be Middle Eastern. Well, there's only one problem. I don't look Middle Eastern. That's all right. We got a crack team of surgeons here. And they basically do that scene from Face Off. But what happens, Kate, after the surgery? Does he look different, Kate?
Well, he looks different. But again, like a fantastic satirical note of the way that we portray ethnicity in American cinema.
Right.
He just has a patchy beard and kind of a tan, and that's about the only. Still big blue eyes, still a killer smile, but just this like velcroed on beard.
Right. It is as though
really
they do a whole thing where like they're showing you how they're altering his jawline and
their scans.
They're changing the shape of his nose. Like his eyes are going to be offset in different places. Like they're showing you
how they're going to
transform on a computer how they're going to change his whole thing. But they didn't want to build another marionette, I guess. So they just super glued some Brillo pads to his face in weird places.
So funny.
And then painted his face kind of brown. And again, this is what Michael Bay's version of this would be.
Right.
And that's the whole joke. So they go. This is where we have the song everyone knows from the movie if you saw it.
Before that, though,
before
they leave for their mission, Spotswood says, "Could get rough out there." Gives him like this weird pep talk, and he's like, "You might need to kill yourself at some point."
Yes,
and gives him a hammer.
Yep.
Which is, for some reason, the funniest thing in the world to me. Like he's like, "You're gonna need something else to help you out there," and he hands him a hammer.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
They're going for weapons of mass destruction.
Not a cyanide pill.
No.
Not a gun.
Not a gun.
A hammer.
Hammer.
To beat your own brains in if ever you're captured by the enemy.
Yes.
Great stuff.
Perfect.
So this is where we see the full Team America roll out. And this is America. America, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day. Oh my god!
And it's really important that you guys know it's not America, it's America. Like they put that cock rock stank on it, and it's so good.
And this also just all of the simple, the like the whole style of it is just so like Top Gun butt rock type of stuff. God. It's perfect. And just the lyrics too, like terrorists, your game is through, because now you got to answer to America. Fuck yeah.
There is my favorite part of Oh, go ahead. I think we were going to say the same thing.
You do it.
There's two verses where they're just saying American things, and there's a response of them saying "fuck yeah," and those include
that is the extended version that plays over the credits, which never actually happens during the show, but it is it's great because they do McDonald's, fuck yeah, Walmart, fuck yeah, baseball, and the last one they do is slavery, fuck yeah, because that's as American as anything else. Honestly,
of course.
And if you're gonna cheer for the other things just because they're American, you gotta kind of cheer for slavery too, and maybe that doesn't feel so good. They're such master satirists.
They are, and in the third verse, it ends on sportsmanship and books, and nobody cheers those two things.
It's true. Sportsmanship.
So books. It's so funny. The porno, Valium, fake tits, all on the list. The Alamo. They go Democrats, fuck yeah. Republicans, fuck yeah. Yep. And then they say sportsmanship and books. Sushi being on the list is hysterical to me. The internet, it's just
the internet. Fuck yeah, perfect.
It's every Bud Light commercial you've seen. It's every Top Gun-esque movie. Like, it's so good.
It is. It really is. And this is them flying to go and save the motherfucking day. Yeah. And they go to Cairo and they're able to get Gary. They because again, this is how dumb Americans are, especially in movies, and like it just seems so dumb. Yeah, sure. We're gonna dress you up as a Middle Eastern guy. So not only did they do the thing with the face, but they wrapped a towel on his head like he just got out of the shower. It doesn't look at all like a turban. It looks like he's having a spa day. That's what it looks like. And so he walks up to the terrorists. And he freezes, and so they start just yelling at him and brandishing their AKs. And then he's like, and then Spotswood's like, "Come on, act, damn it! You're supposed to be an actor. Come on,
act, man,
act, damn it!" And what is he finally says something, but it's like he doesn't actually speak the language, does he?
No, he walks in and he convinces the two security guards that he belongs there, and then he goes.
He walks in.
Any terrorist attacks coming up?
Hey, everybody! Any terrorist attacks coming up? I'd like that. And also, when he walks into the terrorist hangout, there's
it's the Wild West saloon.
There's a full-on Mos Eisley band from Star Wars playing in the cantina. It's just, oh God, it's great. And they take him into the back room, and he convinces them with his acting that he's really
he gives a monologue about his goats and how they were attacked.
Yes,
so now he's declared war.
The infidels came and they burned my village, and my goats were set on fire, and I swore then revenge. I swore revenge on the infidel. And if you don't think that I will get revenge on the infidel, then you might as well kill me right now, because I'll swear a jihad on you too. That's what he says. He says, I swore a jihad on them. I swore a jihad on the infidels who killed my goats. It's the most ridiculous thing ever, because it's oh God.
But it's his acting. That's what I love. It's like only an actor could do this.
And then you hear Steve or Chris or one of them, God damn, he really is a good actor. It's just this ridiculous. And so they become their friends, except for one of the terrorists looks out the window and sees obviously Team America just standing in the middle of the road, right outside the window
with their big red, white, and blue helicopter convoy thing. It's so funny.
And so
hiding in plain sight.
they run away. Oh, I forgot to say, hey, if there's anything goes wrong, you got to give us the signal. Do you remember what the signal is? And it's just him doing like this.
But it's
and so
not suspicious at all.
Not suspicious at all. So then he they run away. They run in a Jeep. They break out and they go away. And he's stuck in the back of the Jeep because he's now friends with the terrorists. And so they run after him. And Sarah says, "I'm gonna go. I sense that Gary is still in. I sense I'm developing feelings for Gary." She says, "So I'm gonna go get Gary. In the ice. I sense I'm developing feelings for somebody." is the least clairvoyant thing ever, because if you can't sense that on your whatever. She goes into to the cantina. It's just Gary, and everyone's like, oh, they pick up their guns, they're gonna shoot at her. She's got a damn minigun, and she just waves it over the entire place, kills everybody. Pause. Gary? It's it's so great. They kill so many people indiscriminately.
She also in developing feelings for Gary and telling Lisa about it, or that she senses that she is. We get a nice little side dialogue about how she wouldn't recommend falling for a coworker in this line of work because they could just die at any moment, like happened to her fiance that she had for a minute and a half.
Yes. And then we see that Chris and Steve are hot on the trail in their Team America World Police SUV. And in the back of the Jeep is Gary doing this. And they're like, I think one of the terrorists is trying to signal us, because they don't know that it's Gary.
Right. Well, he looks just like a Middle Eastern man.
Right. What do they think he said something? They think he said something mean, like, smart ass. And they shoot rocket launchers at him. And
I think he was saying, it's me. And they're like, kiss me. I'll show you, smart ass.
Yes, right. Kiss me. Oh, you son of a bitch. And so they shoot a rocket at him. And of course they miss and hit the Great Pyramid of Giza, which explodes into dust because, and they decide that they kill one of the guys and then kill another guy. And the driver is the only one left with Gary. And so it's like, we're going to turn around and crash into them. We are loaded with explosives, and so we'll kill them when we do it, and it'll be great because we'll go to jihad or whatever. And then Lisa goes over the ravine in a motorcycle, reaches down and grabs Gary. And then the Team America guys drop a ramp so they can fly, so the bad guys fly over them and crash directly into the face of the Sphinx and then explode. And the Sphinx falls apart because of course it does.
When they say that they're suicide bombers too,
right?
The look on Gary's face, like, it's just unbelievable that they're marionettes, because it's like such a human puppet reaction.
Yeah. It's great. And of course, this is now mission accomplished. They were able to kill a couple of terrorists, and that's it. And then the Sphinx and the Pyramid of Giza destroyed. Mission accomplished. And so now we go back. What?
One thing that I noticed the second time around that I definitely didn't the first time around was how the liberal use of the terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
Like that there's no distinguishing it, which felt very much like the time that we were in. Like it was just the terrorists.
We can't let the terrorists win. Okay?
Right. And so there was just the terrorists.
Yeah.
And this was like, oh, we killed some of the terrorists. The terrorists have lost.
Right.
Like, it was the first time watching this that I picked up on that. It was very, very good.
So now we get a couple of things. We get the victory party, which is set to Magic Carpet Ride by Steppenwolf, which is a wonderful touch because the cocktails. It's a wonderful touch because like the jingoistic love it or leave it kind of crap started around the time of the Vietnam War, which is when Steppenwolf released Magic Carpet Ride, and they were not necessarily, what do you say, a pro-war group, but of course now at that point, 40 years later, let's start playing their music as to celebrate that we killed a whole bunch of people is a perfect little like that's intentional. I love that. I also, hey, Sarah, you mind if I dance with you? Says Steve. And honestly, watching marionettes dance, like trying to dance cool, just by bending their knees and shuffling around and kind of moving their arms back and forth, feels like, because I was a wedding DJ for a while, it's basically how white people dance in real life. So that was good to be able to see that.
Accurate
Very
portrayal.
accurate. But then we get Gary, who opens up to Lisa about why acting is maybe something. Maybe I shouldn't be doing acting because I was acting. I got up on the railing at the zoo and I was acting, trying to put on a show, and I accidentally fell into the gorilla pit, and then my brother came in after me, trying to save me, but he forgot he had blueberries in his pocket. What a ridiculous friggin' detail! Like he had blueberries in his pocket. Those apes, they went crazy for those blueberries. They were throwing him back and forth. My acting got my brother killed, and I've had to live with that every day of my life. It's just so ridiculous.
And then she says what might be my favorite line in the whole movie somehow. Of it's something, I think she says, "You can't blame yourself for what gorillas did, Gary."
Yes. You can't
it's just
blame
one of the
yourself
funniest
for what gorillas
sentences ever said and written.
Mm-hmm. And then she says that he tries to kiss her. She says, "No, I'm sorry.
I can't do that again.
Can't do that. You'll have to promise me that you'll never die." I can't promise that, of course. I says, "If you could promise that, I would make love to you right now. I promise I will never die." And then there is a very graphic puppet sex scene.
Do you know the story behind this?
No, please tell me.
Oh, okay. This is fun. I'm
sure I've seen this, but it's been a long time since I've seen this interview or heard this thing.
Well, so it's extremely graphic, extremely long. And the joke of it is that they are puppets.
Right.
In all of these sexual positions, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, they were going to do an NC-17, right?
Well, the FCC said you have to cut it down. Yeah. And so they submitted something that was way worse than the original. Mm-hmm. And they just saw that had been changed and they didn't pay attention to any of it. And the FCC approved this more disgusting.
It was just shorter. It wasn't as long. They said it's too long. There's too much time spent with the sex scene. And so they gave them something that was like half as long. Still long, though.
Yes.
But also had like crazy sexual positions, like really, really graphic, all that. And they're like, that's cool. It's fine as long as it's not too long.
It's so graphic.
It really
like,
is.
Unbelievably. But you see all their little like puppet joints and stuff. Like it's hysterical because it's puppets.
And the best part about it, I would argue, is that it is set to another fantastic song. Which is, I believe, a send up of
woman.
I believe it is a send up of something like "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing" by Aerosmith, which was from Armageddon, because there's a swelling score of like strings and everything behind this very like big rock ballad of "Only a woman is allowed to touch me there. All I ask is that you're a woman." That's so good.
The only thing I can fill a hole inside me is a woman or something like that.
Yes.
But do you know the very last line of that song?
Please tell me.
Or a man.
Missed that one.
So the whole thing is built around that, and then they throw the entire premise of the song out.
I love that it starts out with only a woman can brighten up my day. Only a woman can touch me the right way. It's so ridiculous. But then he's like, hey, Lisa, I want to say I have feelings for you, and or whatever. She's like, no. She's like puts her finger to his lips. Shh, don't talk. But Lisa, I have to tell you, and then she starts to do it again, but she like gets his eye. It's so good. And then we see that there's another huge terrorist attack in Panama at the Panama Canal, and they blow up all these people in Panama. Which again, every time they when they went to Cairo, now they're going to Panama. They went to North Korea. Every time they tell you exactly how many miles it is away from America.
Yes.
So there's a huge bomb that goes off of the Panama Canal, and it kills everybody. There's a huge flood, and the aftermath is all of these puppets floating in the water,
like
right?
puppet parts,
puppet
like
parts,
a marionette arm,
and then the people float away, and then floating into the scene right before it cuts is a puppet donkey, and it was like the most ridiculous thing that they included a puppet donkey in there.
Like, can you imagine being on whatever set is, and then being like, you know what, we gotta get a puppet donkey.
Put the puppet donkey in the water. Don't like make sure that it floats in right at the end. Like, so don't put it in amongst all the. We should feel the most pathos we should feel is not for all of the human puppets,
right?
But they killed the donkey. And you just can't do that. You can't go away.
Honey, what did you do at work?
I made everybody cry about a drowned donkey.
Oh. Real one?
No, puppet. So then now again, Team America is under the impression that all the terrorists have been killed. No more WMDBs.
They're just the terrorists.
And so there's film that comes up on the TV at this victory party of what happened in Panama, and Gary is just trashed. He hates. He can't believe that it was all for nothing. Look, my acting didn't do anything. I'm not what you think I am. I gotta go. I gotta leave. And Lisa's like, no, late. You can't go. We gotta go and we gotta find the terrorists. We got to kill the terrorists. You got to come with us. No. Did you see? It was all for nothing. And,
I just also love, like, acting couldn't stop terrorism.
Yes.
It's such a fun.
Great. And they so this is two brilliant musical choices back to back. Because the first one is they have to go out and kill the terrorists, but it's not fun anymore because we should mention this is the first appearance of the Hollywoodites who hate Team America because Team America has blown up a bunch of stuff and didn't actually solve any problems because they're still terrorists.
Right.
You can't have a war on terror. That would be stupid. To have a war on terror, that would never work. It would just be a boondoggle that would last, 20 years. You can't just do that. That's ridiculous. Team America. What are you going to police the world? Doesn't make any friggin' sense. Anyway, so anyway, all these Hollywood types are very up in arms about all this stuff. Okay, they just represent all the liberals. And how they're doing all the wrong stuff. And so we see that there's a protest outside of Mount Rushmore because everyone apparently knows Team America lives in Mount Rushmore.
Which is even better.
Their hidden fortress
known.
is known by everybody. And Michael Moore is there, and I think he has a hoagie in each hand. And, and I mean, like, yeah, the guy's fat. This is one that was like, yeah, he's fat. I don't feel like that's a thing that you could have anything you want to say about his views or whatever, but the fact that he's fat, it feels uncalled for. But anyway, so they're protesting out front of this whole deal. And Team America, we got to stop you. So they feel like they're being persecuted. Nobody likes them, and they have to go and kill all the terrorists. And also, Gary left, and they don't know if they can get it done without Gary because he's the greatest actor. So we get them leaving to go, and they don't get to do the regular Team America song. They have to do this. They refer to it as the Bummer remix. And it's just the same exact song, except sung really sad. America, fuck yeah. Coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah. America, fuck yeah. Oh my God. It's so good. It's so good.
Even kept and made sad the like they kept that shitty, because you also have to understand additionally in music at this time, like the top of the food chain was like Creed and Nickelback and all that stuff. God, so the Scott Stappian vocals just in this like sad, almost a cappella Bummer remix, phenomenal.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Then of course they're all shot down by North Korean Air Force, just in terrorists or whatever. And they're shot down over the Pacific Ocean, I guess. And so that's sad. But what's also happening at the same time is Gary is having a crisis of conscience about the whole deal.
They do, Trey Parker and Matt Stone in general do downward spiral parody better than anyone I've ever seen. It's so funny.
Yeah. It's so good. They do a I Miss You Girl song, but it is actually about Michael Bay, and I miss you more than Michael Bay missed the mark when he made Pearl Harbor. I miss you
more than that movie missed the point.
I need you like Ben Affleck needs acting school. He was terrible in that film. I need you like Cuba Gooding needed a bigger part. He way better than Ben Affleck now. All I can think of, girl, is your smile and that shitty movie too. So good. But also the best part about it is that it's got this reverb at certain points. Is that so? It says, all I know is that Pearl Harbor sucks, and I miss you.
And what's amazing is at the end of the song, Pearl Harbor being terrible wins out over how much he misses her, because he goes, I guess Pearl Harbor sucked just a little bit more
than I miss you. It's so great because also he's driving a motorcycle around the hills of Los Angeles, and they actually put the real puppet on a real tiny motorcycle on the real hills of Los Angeles and just shoot the actual lights of Los Angeles. It's absolutely a scene that exists in a movie, in many movies, except for with a song that is earnestly not about Pearl Harbor. It's really great, and he keeps spiraling, and realizes he can't do this anymore. So he goes and he drinks somewhere.
He goes to this bar.
Yes.
And somebody recognizes him as an actor. This is so underrated in this movie, in my opinion. He goes, "Do that scene where everyone gets AIDS," which you, as an actor, or anybody who's been a stand-up comedian, knows. Like the amount of times a performer gets tell a joke, tell us a joke, because you're a stand-up thing. This guy who's drunk and an unrecognizable version of himself just getting asked to do that scene where everyone gets AIDS from AIDS the musical is the funniest by so like good. A regular at the bar. And so the regulars that are at the bar are the perfect regulars at the bar. Like, I don't know how they did it with puppets. I don't know how they do it with cartoons, but you know everybody that's at that bar. You've met them before.
Yep, absolutely. And this is where we get the thesis of what Trey Parker actually believes. And it is actually Trey Parker's real belief because he repeats it later in the same film to make sure that you get it. He says that that there are three kinds of people. There's a guy who comes up, another drunk guy, who says like, "Hey there, Chuck." I don't know why he calls him Chuck, but I think it's funny. He says, blah blah blah. There's three kinds of people in this world. There's dicks and pussies and assholes. Pussies don't like dicks because dicks fuck everything up. But dicks also fuck assholes. Assholes just want to spew their shit over everybody. I mean, like the way that it's laid out, it's actually a decent world philosophy. Like if you live your life by it, all right. I mean, I've heard much worse, honestly. But it is the thesis that Trey Parker operates from is that dicks are not great. Pussies might be a little worse. Assholes are the worst. And we got to deal with the assholes. Yes. And I love like
it. All three of those have an allotment in this film, very clearly.
Very clearly, yeah. Specifically represented by everything. And at one point, I forgot that while they're shooting down all the planes over the Pacific Ocean, whatever, Michael Moore gets into the Team America headquarters. Wearing a suicide vest and blows himself up, which I feel like was maybe like a tad heavy-handed, but whatever.
I can't really remember like him in post 9/11 world that well, but I feel like he was kind of like the poster boy of being insufferable on that stuff.
Sure, I mean, the thing of it is that Michael Moore had really good points. He just was really overbearing about them.
Right.
And to anybody who was like not super on his side, I'm sure he was just
insufferable.
Yeah. And so it's fine. I mean, yeah, he made some movies. That's what I'll say.
I'm guessing in 2004 it felt more proportionate than it does now, is all I mean.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes. I suppose. Still a little bit.
I would say treating it the same as the terrorists got treated in the film is a lot. But I understand.
Right. But anyway, so he blows up the whole thing. And then after there's the thing where Gary gets kicked out of the bar, and so he goes into the back alley and he pukes
for 45 minutes.
It's a really long puke session, but every time you think it's done, he starts again, and every time that it starts again, the music swells as there's like timpani and like there's a whole score that underscores him puking his guts out all over the
I wouldn't know because I couldn't watch it, because even though it's fake puke coming out of a puppet, I couldn't handle it. I clicked the 10 seconents forward thing 4 times, so it's at least 40 seconds long of puppet fake puking.
I don't know. I think you might be able to do it without watching it, just listening to honestly, the sound isn't as bad as you think. It's the music is so hilarious because every time it just goes da 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 da, da because he's
of course.
it's great.
And he's also like getting yelled at by an old woman from her apartment in the alley. Like they nail downward spirals. It's so funny.
You screwed up, didn't you? Didn't you? You know what you did. Anyway, he decides he's going to go back. And again, I don't know if Baxter is just taking him all over the place because he absolutely was riding a motorcycle through the Hollywood Hills and also then went to a bar in New York. And then he left the bar in New York and he flew to South Dakota to Mount Rushmore. So I'm assuming he's still taking the limo thing. But when he gets back there, Spotswood is still alive somehow. And like you let us everybody down. You're a quitter. You're a dirty quitter. You have to prove that you actually aren't going to quit again.
This they wouldn't do today either.
No one did this today either.
This wasn't my second one.
Yeah.
And it's not the worst of them, but this they wouldn't do either.
No. Yeah, but prove. So he finally he does. He proves how much he wants to be a part of the team again by giving Spotswood oral sex. Yep. It's so ridiculous.
So absurd.
This anyway, so we see also that Kim Jong-il has taken Team America hostage, and he's going to his plan is to have all the terrorists all over the world detonate WMDs at the same time, and no one will be paying attention because they'll all be watching this peace conference that he's hosting, which will have a keynote speaker of Alec Baldwin. Because Alec Baldwin is according to Gary Johnston, the greatest actor in the world.
I can't outact him.
I can't outact him. He's Alec Baldwin. He's the greatest. And there's the point where they actually eat whatever. The whole final act is Gary acting his way into the palace by the guards, and then freeing all the people who are trapped. By the way, Lisa now has been she says something introspective to Kim Jong-il, who's just revealed his entire plan. He says, you don't have, I guess we have to mention, I think this song was actually nominated for an Oscar. It's I'm so it's spelled,
we'll say lonely.
It's spelled Ronry. I'm not going to sing it, but that's how it's spelled in the thing. So you can tell the whole thing is just that accent in this whole song. It's actually the lyricism of it is actually quite clever. The way that it's laid out, like just as an actual musical type song. But also every word has as many L's and R's in it as possible, to really fire home it's really hilarious, don't you get it? Because this is how Asians talk. And that's the problem with it, is that it's done as a joke as opposed to an actual, it's mean-spirited. But
also the idea, what sucks about it to me too is that overpowers the song of also him. He just thinks he's so much smarter than everybody else, and he keeps killing everybody that's dumber than him, and he's so lonely. And it's done, like, every arrangement for the music in this is done to a paradoxical or what, I don't know what the long version of parody is, but
not paradoxical.
It's not paradoxical, but
no.
like it's the perfect parody. Like it's every single note in these songs is so funny, and the idea of him being so alone when he's killing everybody that comes in his path that is half a step out of line with everything that he's trying to do is absolutely hilarious, and unfortunately gets overpowered by like the blatant racism. Whether you think it's how American cinema portrays it or not, it's way over the line.
It's too much.
Yeah.
But anyway, he gives his whole plans like, I can't wait to watch everybody screaming and like not knowing what to do, whatever. That's his whole deal, is he wants to create as much terror as possible.
And one of them is like strung upside down for no reason.
Yes.
Like it's very much every held captive scene you've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. But then Lisa like just reads him, just says, this is who you actually are, because nobody actually cares about you and you wish somebody did, and that's why I bet you're actually a very lonely person. And then he turns back toward her slowly. And then he says, bring her upstairs. And so then
you're gonna have a front row seat.
You shall have a front row seat. And so he puts her in the exact outfit that Kate Capshaw wears in the first scene of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, when she is the prisoner basically of Lao She. It's great. So Gary frees everybody else, and then they end up splitting up and fighting all of these actors who are like Danny Glover and Sean Penn and Samuel L. Jackson and Helen Hunt and Liv Tyler and George Clooney and Matt Damon. I don't understand why Matt Damon got to be that character, but they made Matt Damon into that character.
Do you know the story with him with this?
No, I don't.
He thinks it's hilarious.
Oh, I'm sure
and they've never picked on him again. And Sean Penn wrote them a 3-page letter or something, and they've mocked him mercilessly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's perfect.
Sean Penn is nothing if not a very self-serious person.
Oh yeah, and we'll talk more about him in a minute.
Yeah. So anyway, all of these actors, they always say, we've done action films, we know what to do. Ethan Hawke is there, I believe. And I'm like, I feel like most of these people didn't. At one point, Helen Hunt says, all right, bitch, come on. I've done action films. And they have a samurai fight scene. I'm like, I do not. Are you counting Twister as an action film? Because I do not think that Helen Hunt has ever wielded a samurai sword in a movie.
That's a very good point.
But anyway, she gets cut in half. They all die in increasingly awful ways. All of them. It's the most graphic violence is in dealing with all of these Hollywood people, all of these actors. Terrible things happen to them. Yeah. So, there's one part where all Kim Jong-il's pet panthers are released, but they're just like black cats. And then Sarah is able to use her mind powers to turn them against their captors, and then they're eaten.
So we have to talk about the Susan Sarandon thing too, because this is how I found out that Sean Penn tied up Susan Sarandon and beat the shit out of her.
I did not know that.
You did it? Okay, so this was incredibly intentional and probably why Sean Penn wrote a letter. So in Team America, Susan Sarandon is like tied up to a chair, and it's a decoy, and Team America is smart enough to see that coming.
Well, no, because Jerry Johnson's like, no, she's acting.
She's acting. That's what she's like.
I can tell she's acting.
She's lost a step, basically.
Yeah.
But I remember somebody telling me like, oh my God, that's so pointed, and not knowing what they were talking about. And Sean Penn and I think it was Susan Sarandon or Madonna? I think it
I
was.
think
Susan
it might have
Sarandon.
been Madonna because I've heard that.
Oh, was
story.
it? Okay,
I've heard
then it was
Sarandon.
Madonna. Okay, so but that's how I found out Sean Penn did it. So it wasn't Susan Sarandon. Her acting just wasn't.
I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But yeah.
But he like had in a very similar way, tied up Madonna, and there were abuse allegations that were horrific that eventually got dropped because I think she just didn't want to go through with it anymore. But that seemed extremely pointed at Sean Penn, and I hadn't known that because why would I have at that age? But I was like, oh wow, watching it back, I was like, that is extremely intentional. I think.
Yeah. I wonder if it was specific as to how much Trey Parker hated individuals as to what happened to them.
That's a good question.
Because like Susan Sarandon falling like way too far and exploding into a bunch of bits at the bottom after being shot a bunch of times, and then Tim Robbins got literally immolated, burned to death. That might have been that one. I'm not really sure.
Well, and he did an anti-smoking thing, right? Wasn't that the whole thing with Tim Robbins? And then they were like, mind if I have a cigarette or something?
Yeah, that's right. I got bad news for you, Tim Robbins. I'm a smoker. And because there ought to have been gasoline poured all over the floor at that point. That's what happened. Oh, and Samuel L. Jackson and Chris, the same guy, had another fight scene.
That's right.
And I was like, you just, I think it is kind of funny. I don't know if they did this on purpose. They might have. They gave Samuel L. Jackson a very famous line of Lawrence Fishburne's from The Matrix, where he says, "Come on, stop trying to hit me and hit me," and that's Lawrence Fishburne's line, not Samuel L. Jackson's line. So I don't know if that's specifically supposed to be a thing. But yeah, so he gets his face kicked off. Yep.
Yeah, he gets his face kicked off.
He does. Yep, absolutely. There's some pretty graphic ways they deal with the Hollywood types. But anyway,
I just looked up the letter that Sean Penn sent because I remember it being like a big thing, and he wrote it before the movie aired, and he was like, "You're not really doing this, are you? I've been to Iraq."
Yeah, there you go.
And they said that in the movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, well, he had been to Iraq. He's been to a lot of places and tries to say I know better. Yeah, well, maybe I don't know. He's doing the same thing with Ukraine right now. He's like, I was in Ukraine when I know. I'm
an authority on all of it. Yeah.
But anyway, so it comes down to Alec Baldwin giving a speech, trying to stall it, like basically, and Kim Jong-un stalling for time. I thought what was going to be revealed, and I don't remember how I thought of this the first time I saw it in 2004, was that all the members of the Film Actors Guild, and we'll talk, I'm sure, your thing about that in a second, were all going to be revealed as being pawns, easily duped by Kim Jong-il, because they were easily duped and they did not. They think of Team America and Kim Jong-il as equally evil, and so they're easily duped by one over the other. But that's not at all the case. They are willing accomplices, and I feel like that is like probably. Like you can say that they're easily duped. I don't think they're willing accomplices, but Alec Baldwin is absolutely the second in command of this entire terrorist organization, and that was very odd to me. But he gets outacted by Gary Johnston, because Gary Johnston just gives the same speech that the drunk in the bar gave him, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
About pussies and assholes.
Pussies and assholes.
Yeah. But I loved the fear paralysis for Gary too. Like, I can't outact Alec Baldwin. Yes, like he was so nervous.
You can't outact me, boy. You can't outact me, boy.
That's right.
Try.
Like the old vet to the young guy too. You can't outact me. Like it's like a measurable competitive thing is so funny to me.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, we do have to call out that it was
you got to do the thing.
My number 2, aside from the Kim Jong-il stuff, was there's no way I think that the Film Actors Guild gets thrown around the way that it does, and that's an acronym for gets said twice.
I think you could get away with Film Actors Guild spelled out full 3, because that's perfect. That's a perfectly fine thing. But then you show it like once, shortened to the other thing, and then that's it. You get one visual joke, and then you never get it again. And you definitely don't get to have Alec Baldwin say
the initialism twice,
saying the acronym together about himself proudly over and over and over again in a hypothetical situation. Yeah, not really great.
Not great.
But anyway, then Kim Jong-il is very upset that that Alec Baldwin got outacted by Gary Johnston, so he kills him, shoots him a bunch of times. But then Lisa kicks him off the balcony that they're sitting in, and he falls and lands and has impaled himself on, I believe, the Kaiser's helmet from Germany, because all of the nations of the United Nations are represented in the audience of this big peace summit, but they're all the most ridiculous stereotypes of their country. There are actually, though, a few world leaders I recognized, like Tony Blair is absolutely in the audience from Great Britain, but I don't know why the Kaiser Wilhelm is there, but only for the joke of being impaled on the helmet, on the giant. There's a name for the kind of helmet with the spike at the top. Of course, the spike is also comically way too long, and there you go. But then they're able to stop the WMDs from going off with 0.001 seconds left on the timer, which is just an homage to how everything always ends with 1 second left. Well, how about if it's 0.0001 seconds left?
Gotta kick out at 299, man.
That's right. And then a cockroach escapes from the dead body of Kim Jong-il that speaks with Kim Jong-il's voice and goes and gets into a spaceship and takes off and leaves and goes back to his home planet. Because actually, they wanted to destroy everybody with WMDs so that the cockroaches could move in and live on this planet after all the humans were gone. That was the big plan. So.
And a mighty one it was. Mm-hmm. I just love that the cockroach got like out a rocket. It's a very funny thing to have happen.
I should also note, and I feel bad about not noting it before, there are I guess 3 men on the Team America and 2 women, and the 2 women wear pink camo, and it is just wonderfully atrocious and perfect. The pink camo started showing up in stores and being worn and being prints on things around this time, and it is just still a ridiculous thing. Support the troops, but you're dainty like a girl, so wear pink is
like it's called camo for the word camouflage. And it's like it's not green and brown because it's a male color palette. It's so that you camouflage it with your surroundings. Whereas pink, unless you are in a strawberry patch, not so much.
Not so much. Yeah. So anyway,
they saved the world.
So they did. They saved the world from evil and Alec Baldwin.
Yes.
Which are basically the same thing, according to Trey Parker. And then there's this great
it's just
thing
pussies and assholes, really.
They walk out and they do a little jump in the air and freeze frame to show y'all Team America. I forgot that Steve is in love with Sarah, and
Yes.
finally confesses to her. That's part of the where they all get shot down by the planes. Is Steve really passively aggressively telling Lisa that, or telling Sarah that he's in love with her, while shooting down planes. Like,
yes.
Maybe somebody wouldn't pay attention so much. Then I could. Yeah, it was. Oh my god!
So good. And we found out why. Ridiculous. Is it Carson who hates actors?
Yes. No, it's Chris.
Chris, that's right.
Because he went backstage at a touring production of Cats and was raped by the entire cast of the Cats.
Mr. Mistopheles was the one I remembered most.
Yeah.
And he just goes, "No wonder you don't trust actors."
No. This is what it is. This is what he says. Like they grabbed me and held me down, Mr. Mephistophel. I was raped by Mr. Mistopheles. That's why you don't trust actors. like we got it. We figured it out. Thanks for letting us in on it, Gary.
And it's like again another one of these amazing emotional reveals. Like off to the side, and he's like, after this whole exchange of, you're not bad for an actor. Like this whole kind of it's just unbelievable how good they are at tropes.
And again, as I said, this is the worst possible time to stop and reveal this to somebody.
Yes.
Because they are only halfway through the palace and there is a literal ticking clock. Like they have to go and stop this thing from before he blows up everything. And they've killed half the people in Hollywood, and they've stopped just so Chris can tell Gary this very vital information before they move on. Oh my God, it's so
impeccable.
Great.
And I love, like,
I forgot about this.
Oh no!
I nearly when after Spotswood. After Gary proved to Spotswood via oral sex that he is ready to try again to try and save everybody, they got to do a montage.
Even Rocky had a montage.
In every shot, show a little improvement. To show it all would take too long. You gotta have a montage.
Even Rocky had a montage. Which also gets used. I don't think it gets used in basketball, but it gets used in South Park.
Yes, it is the only
in the teen center.
Yeah, it is episode. It is the only song that previously appeared in South Park, but they had to use it. They had to take it.
Perfect.
It's where this is the one in the random episode of South Park where Stan keeps getting challenged by the very best skier on the mountain to a race down Old Baldy or whatever the hell they call the mean mountain, and so he's got to prove he's got to get good at skiing. Otherwise, if he doesn't win the race, they're gonna ruin the teen center. They're gonna sell the teen center to the developer or whatever. And so
the hotshot skier the whole time in that race is like, I'll unleash this cage of rabbits. That'll really show him, instead of just skiing down the slope.
But you got to have a montage. Is one of my favorite Trey Parker creations ever, because it is the exact song they play in every montage from the 80s. And it tells you exactly why they play it. And after you hear the song and you watch any movie from the 80s and they do a montage,
you're done.
It's every trope. Like they remind everyone of what's going on. They say that, where they'll check in with all the characters who are also in the movie to remind you of what's like. Every time Rocky had a montage, even if Adrian wasn't anywhere near the goings on, they would check in with her. How is she feeling at this particular time? And then they come back over here and they do this. Oh, it's
and they took that song, but they updated it for this movie too, because that was a sports training montage.
Yes.
Always fade out in a montage.
If you fade out, it seems like more time has passed in a montage.
So good.
That might be my favorite song,
Oh,
like ever,
just of all time.
of all time.
It's fantastic.
It's
It's
such
a great
song.
choice.
It's a
The
great
Beatles
song.
could never.
No, not a chance. Not a chance. Yeah. So yes. And also, if at any point during our retelling of the events of this movie, you forgot that was happening with puppets,
Yeah.
I encourage you to find this film and watch it. It is an absolute classic, and so many of the themes it touches upon are still very relevant today in very different ways. It's great. I just feel like it's something that, like, I feel like so many people don't even know this movie exists and would be just like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Exactly. But it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
If you watch it.
Talk to someone a decade older than you, I promise. Like,
yeah.
It's so I was like relieved at how well it held up, because I forgot how much it was a parody, and how perfectly they nailed pretty much every note except for the things that we called out. Like, it's so it held up so well, where I feel like if I watched a lot of stuff from 2004, especially edgy stuff, it does not hold up nearly as well. Right. So it was really, really cool to see that about it. And of anything that we've reviewed, I can't think of anything I would keep the flick in more than I would ever get the flick out of here, because it's so, for so many reasons, including it's just like right up the alley with my sense of humor. And there are South Park episodes I would recommend if you liked this movie. So you can hit me up on Katestagrams. Probably the Teen Center one we just talked about.
Yep.
God, that's such a, like, this is their wheelhouse to me. The Guitar Hero one, I feel like, is another situation where they're just crushing tropes. Like, this is my favorite thing that they do. The day before the day after tomorrow, when they realize, my God, it's just today. Like, so perfect. So perfect. But yeah, I was
that one is kind of rough because and listen, they can be forgiven for this. They come down very hard on the side of global warming is basically nothing.
Yes, but then they apologize for that. They do a whole Al Gore apology episode later because of the way they portray Al Gore.
They did later. But at the time, they were like, global warming. Like, no. 2004, you could be forgiven for that, or whenever the hell that came out. But now, it's 117 degrees. Like, let's
in
not.
Like December. Yeah. And they definitely poked holes at global warming, but they mostly poked fun at Al Gore, I felt like.
Yes,
which
that's true. And they also really, really poked fun at the movie The Day After Tomorrow.
Yes.
Which deserves derision. That movie is really, really bad and fun to mock. So, yeah. Anyway.
So we're keeping the flick in, right? Both of us.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
100%.
Unbelievably so.
Yeah. This was probably predictably the longest ever episode of To Get the Flick Out of Here, because we both loved this movie so much.
And there's so many little notes that make it so great.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I guess that's it. Hey, Kate, where do they find you? And who are you?
I ask myself that on a regular basis, but you can find me at Katestagrams and Ms. Kate Fabe on social media. And also all over Fightful, talking about wrestling with the fella next to me, and on Friday nights with Sean Ross Sapp and a rotating well of co-hosts.
That's very true. Yeah, you can find me tomorrow night on Fightful talking about AEW, back here next week talking about, I don't know, whatever we figure out. We'll figure it out. We usually do. And then, I'll do stuff on Fightful Select as well. It's fun. Follow me on the Twitter at Alex Sourgraps. And until next time, we'll figure out what the hell we're going to talk about, and then we're going to figure out whether or not we're going to get the flick out of here. Bye, everybody.
RESPECT. Click the subscribe button and find out what it means to me. Nah, that doesn't have a ring to it. But if you like videos about real news stories that are funny, stupid, or weird, subscribe now.